We had some guys played their butts off tonight, and we're sitting here again. We're sitting here again talking about the same things. About not finishing when you have an opponent in a position to put them away. But what we're doing on the sideline is feeling like the game's over. And I'm so angry about it that I got to do something about it. I'm not doing a good enough job as a coach. And I got to coach him better, because it's unacceptable for us not to have found a way to win this football game. It's ridiculous.
This is At Face Value.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Here we go again, episode 9, At Face Value. I'm Brian.
And I'm Lucas.
We're so excited to have everybody here for another week. We are in the middle of watching LSU versus USC, so bear with Lucas here tonight as he braves the elements and tries to multitask. And there's really no guarantees on anything. So
get the ball. Play the ball. See, that's not a good throw, man. That's not a good throw.
That's how tonight's going to be. So just roll with us. Just bear with us.
You got bailed out for a bad throw. Sorry,
You're
guys.
getting full emotions out of everything. So
that's so
it's going to be a lot of fun. So first of all, we want to thank everybody again for all the support, everything you do for us, following us, sharing, liking. So we have our new YouTube link now that we go on. A lot of different ways you can listen to us and be a part of the show, and so we just really appreciate it. So just continue to hit that share button, continue to like, continue to watch, and it's going to be a lot of fun today. So going along with that, we do have a guest on the show today. He's calling in from Stockdale, America. We have Cameron Murray. You want to say hi, Cameron?
What's going on, people? I love it.
Yeah. So we're excited to have you on there. We're excited to go over a lot of different things, and we're just going to kind of roll. So
I apologize. This is going to be the first week that there's going to be beeps on this podcast. I guarantee it.
It's just part of the experience. So it's going to be a good time. We're going to roll with it. We're going to have fun. And Lucas is going to try his best to be a part of the show today. So
yeah.
Anyway, man, just rolling into it. So we're going to talk about the NCAA. Obviously, a lot of action that went on over the last several days, starting Thursday, rolling through the entire weekend. Like we said, we're watching LSU and USC right now, and then we also have Florida State and Boston College tomorrow night. So
should be a good one.
Yeah. What are some of your general impressions of the weekend, though?
Definitely some big blowouts. The first week, I think we were kind of talking about it earlier. And I am saying this because LSU is obviously playing; it's a ranked matchup. But the first week, between week 1 and week 2, is where teams make their biggest jump in improvements, right? So whenever these teams are playing these ranked matches, like A&M, Notre Dame, you have Georgia, Clemson, like LSU, USC, like they're getting thrown out there for first action. You work all year, and then other teams are playing. UNLV, Western Kentucky, Colorado State, where some of these so they have a chance to be able to work out all the wrinkles in their offense and their defense and everything. So I think something is going to have to change where they're going to have to revamp the scheduling because, again, I don't know. I just don't like that. And it makes for a boring weekend, right? We had some good matchups this weekend, but, I mean – a lot of them, it was just a bunch of cupcakes, like the paycheck games for these smaller schools where it's not as intense. It's blowout central. Obviously, Oregon and Michigan kind of struggled a little bit. But, again, it's the first game of the season. I guarantee you next week they're going to make a big jump in improvements because, again, they had that one game to kind of work out all the wrinkles and everything. So, I don't know. The first weekend, I love college football. It's great, but whenever LSU has to play freaking Florida State 2 years in a row for the first game and now USC for the first game, I don't know if it's on a LSU's on them to schedule a cupcake first. I don't know what the deal is, but they're playing these big games first, and obviously it sounds like an excuse, and it kind of is. But LSU's defense still sucks. Don't get me wrong.
Well, I was going to ask you too. I feel like that's kind of part of it is the scheduling. So, because look at Texas. Texas, they're playing Michigan this coming week, but they at least scheduled that cupcake
for
first,
sure.
and then. I'm sure next week, I mean, I don't know what the full schedule is, but they play Ohio State next week, and I'm sure it's the same thing. Like, they're going to play.
They play Michigan, but yeah.
Well, I thought they played Ohio State next year, too.
Oh, next year. I thought you meant next week.
No,
Oh,
I mean
sorry,
next
sorry,
year.
sorry,
Yeah, so
sorry.
next year they play Ohio State.
Do they have a
And
cupcake
so
before?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know the schedule, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming like that's probably how they scheduled it. Is week one you play like a nobody, you kind of do your fine tuning, and so
I mean, last year Texas played Rice and looked pretty awful.
Yeah.
And then they went and beat Bama. You know, they worked out all those kinks and
yeah, exactly. Like you
Like,
play a
it's-
bad team to kind of see
Yeah.
what you're bad at. Because I mean, it's the same thing as like. I was a high school coach, and Cameron, you're a high school coach, so it's kind of like doing your scrimmages like the 2 weeks before the season starts. It's kind of the same thing. Like, I mean, yeah, you might be playing tougher competition, but you're also just doing very basic things,
Yeah.
and just seeing like what you need to work on. And so,
absolutely.
I think a lot of that is just,
Because you can play each other and practice all you want until you go up against another opponent that's equal or at least somewhat competitive with you. You're not going to know what some of these kids are made of, because you're still working out starters and everything, especially whenever pads start popping. Like, you got to figure that out. And obviously, like, whenever we're talking about the playoffs, like, one loss can be the difference. And at the beginning of the season, when you have some of these big games, like A&M, like realistically, I mean, they can still make the playoffs, but they have a huge, hard road ahead. If they drop one more game, I mean, they're probably out. And vice versa with Notre Dame. Notre Dame, this big win, they're pretty much a lock in the playoff now. Like, literally. Like,
Oh, yeah,
they're gonna
dude.
you can lock a playoff team almost in week one.
I think their lowest win probability percentage the rest of the way was like 72% or something, and that was a home game versus Florida State.
And the thing is they can probably still lose a game and still get in. That's the thing.
Well, I think there's a positive and a negative to it, though, too. I think it brings excitement back to college football, right? I think everybody misses football for so long. I think it brings attention back to, like, the beautiful, like the beautifulness of the sport. Like, two historic programs playing. But I think on the flip side of that, it could also be a drop-off negative, too, because like in the event A&M losing, which we can go into detail and I can sit here and cry my tears out, but it makes it a step harder for anyone. You lose to drop the first one to a ranked opponent. So like you said, Lucas, trying to walk back into the playoff, it's hard.
For sure. And my point being is, like, I feel like there's an advantage to the teams that are hosting or playing cupcakes week one, where they're able to, like, iron out all the kinks of their system, and then other teams are having to go up against Notre Dame on week one when they don't have any grace period between that, which, again, like, is that a scheduling thing? I don't know.
Well, and I feel like even like that game last night meant way more for A&M than it did for Notre Dame, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Because if Notre Dame loses that one on the road in a close game, like they might drop to like 12 maybe. And so you're still right there in the race, and then you end up winning out, going 11-1. You're still in the playoffs. So obviously there was a lot more urgency that needed to come from A&M, and so that is part of it. Is like, it's that big game right off the season. So, and I think the more you look at it, I wonder how many of these big games are actually even going to remain outside of conference now that you have this 12 game playoff. I wonder if it gets to a point. I know like Lucas, I know you and I have talked before about like possibly like the NCAA, like these major conferences breaking off completely from the NCAA at some point. But before that, as long as, okay, we'll pay you $1.5 million to beat you 76-0, like Ole Miss, like, or however much they paid them. I mean, like, at what, like, you might as well just do that, because, I mean, the rest of it pretty much remains irrelevant.
I mean, and it's not Ole Miss's responsibility to pay for that school's budget for the year.
Yeah,
to
for
go
sure.
to lose 76-0, because again, people, how many people that are not Ole Miss fans watch that game? I guarantee you that the ratings for that were minimal to none, because nobody cares who they played. Elon, or I don't even know who they played. That just shows you right there. Furman, sorry. That just shows exactly.
I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I think it's coming to what you said, Lucas, and you, Brian, what y'all said. It's coming to a super conference. I think the ACC's been like ahead of the game in terms of seeing how it's all going to play out by scheduling ACC opponents game one, like them playing in Dublin versus Florida State versus Georgia Tech. I think it's already kind of pavement breaking ground on. That's where college football is moving, is 3 major super conferences. I mean, I think the Big Ten, I mean, in terms of TV deals, is better than SEC right now. And then I think you got the ACC, which may stay alive after all this, depending on all the Florida State stuff. But I think it's going to be we're going to see 3 major super conferences, and then it's going to be another level of tier of college football.
But again, last night, I was pretty much a neutral. Sorry, man, I can't stand Texas A&M, but I was pretty much a neutral a neutral in the game pretty much last night. But who does not want to watch that? That was a great game, back and forth, intense the entire time. Who for a neutral, that was an amazing game to watch. Why not have 30 of those every single weekend? That was amazing. Television, tuning into that, I was on the edge of my seat the whole game. It was great, and the quality of the game is there with these higher level teams. And if they just played every week, this LSU USC game, it's a 13-10 game with 5:40 left in the third quarter. Who doesn't want to watch this? This is intense. It's good. It's not a 72-0 blowout where you're paying for a school's freaking budget for the whole season.
It's intense, but what my argument is what's the with a 12-team playoff the way it is right now, what is the purpose of these games other than to potentially hurt your chances later on?
But again, I'm not money for sure. I'm sure LSU and USC are getting a big payout in Vegas for this, but money's one of it, but 2, I think this is kind of where it's going to go. You're going to get these games every single week, so I don't know if teams are prepping for it or what. I'm not exactly sure, but I definitely feel like the way that everything is going, it's heading in this direction to where you're going to get these big matchups every single week against Power 5 team versus Power 5 team, 100% across the board with your schedule, and that's how it should be. And some people are like, oh, well, these kids can't take that much beating all season long. I'm like, the NFL just made it a 17 freaking game season, and they're doing it into the playoffs and everything. So, and a lot of these guys are going to go pro anyway. So they're a lot of them are pro ready. It needs to happen because again, there were some really good games that were yesterday, but there were a lot of games that were just crazy blowouts that were boring to watch that nobody cares about.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I mean, and if you want to, I mean, we can start rolling through the games. Obviously the SEC, all the ones that played the cupcakes, like you said, I mean, they absolutely rolled. Texas 52-0, Alabama 63-0, Ole Miss 76-0. It was just Tennessee beating Chattanooga 69-3. I mean, it was just one blowout after another. But then you look at
get in the end zone, baby. Let's go, baby.
Then you look at the tough ones. So the first game of the I guess we can go back to Thursday even, but I know there wasn't a whole lot going on there. I mean, you had your NC State played, your Utah played. Not a whole lot of big games on Thursday. Sorry, I was trying to pull them up real fast.
Dude, but the Colorado game was.
Yeah.
The Colorado game was.
Colorado sneaking by.
Cam Ward's freaking.
Yeah.
Dude, my Miami pick's looking pretty decent.
Dude, Miami looked good, dude. I'll say that.
Great pick by you, Lucas.
Yeah.
My ACC champ.
Yeah,
I'm a
man.
big Cam Ward fan.
Dude,
He's
Miami-
Incarnate Word. He's an Incarnate Word. He was at Incarnate Word, and then he transferred
Are you
to
serious?
Washington State, and then from Washington State.
I don't know if you know the history of Cam Ward, but he came from a wing T.
he
That's where he
really?
played in a wing T quarterback. He wasn't even a spread guy.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
That's
He
nice.
looks good
That's
in
the same
the
Ryan
offense. Yeah.
Tannehill.
Yeah, man.
His arm slot is so weird, though, the way he throws the ball.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to translate into the next
But
level.
Miami looks the part. It wasn't even Miami's offense, though. Miami's defense looked the real deal. They look fast.
I think part of that was Miami looked really good, and then I also think that Florida is exactly what we thought Florida was going to be this year, dude. Like
Billy Boy's seat's on fire.
absolutely atrocious, dude. He doesn't have a seat anymore. Like
No, it's especially as an in-state
No.
rival like
I
that.
read one article. It was
That's-
like the only thing that Billy Napier needs to be doing now is looking for the next place to live because it ain't gonna be.
Yeah.
I think that's.
They're calling him
we're gonna
Sunbelt
see
Billy.
Mr. Prime Time back in the state of Florida.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what Dion's plan is, to be honest. Like I feel like he's doing this for his kids.
Yeah, I mean, like I wonder if Dion is a long term guy. I mean,
I don't know.
because I mean, Shadur, obviously he'll go to the draft. Does Shiloh go to the draft this year? Or?
I have no idea.
I think he's a senior, right?
Is he the corner?
Yeah, he's the corner.
I mean, he
So
looked
if
bad.
they both go to the draft, I mean, yeah, Shiloh ain't good.
He looked bad.
Like, Murray, I sent a meme today. It
But
was
my
like,
thing is like,
go ahead.
But you look at what Florida like what Florida offers Dion versus Colorado. It'd be a no-brainer.
Yeah, but I guess what we're saying is like, is Dion even like is coaching like his long term goal, or was it like let me give my sons the best possible chance and then
Yeah.
I'll just ride off into the sunset?
That's
Like,
that's a
Yeah, that was my
Really good
point.
point.
Yeah. That was my point. I don't know what his long term plan is. I don't know if he wants to stay in the gig for that long. I mean, he's already missing like 4 toes.
yeah, he's missing 4 toes. Like he doesn't even talk to reporters anymore.
Yeah.
Like he literally like he doesn't care.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his.
I mean, he's
long-term-
got his Affleck commercials with Nick Saban. I mean, what else do you need?
Yeah,
So,
he's
I mean,
doing.
like-
He's, I mean, dude, he might be a freaking analyst on game day soon too, man. The way,
oh man,
poor Corso, man. I bless his heart, dude. He looked pretty rough yesterday.
dude, I was dead set that last year was going to be Lee Corso's last season.
Yeah.
Because, well, what was it? 2 years ago that he missed like 4 or 5 games or something because he was in such bad shape. Like,
Dude, I really was scared. Like whenever he had that Irish suit on, like whenever did you see his pic?
yeah.
Like
No,
like
I
they had a
didn't
guy
see it.
walking with him, and dude, I was scared he was gonna fall, man, like and break a hip. Like,
yeah.
Right on live TV.
dude, I was worried for
He
him.
was holding that freaking stick, and I thought he was gonna fall too.
He looked like
was
his
trying to
knees
raise his
were-
leg, and
Yeah, his knees were buckling, man.
Oh man,
It was
that's
bad.
Brutal.
But no, we were talking about SEC games. How about the freaking the Vanderbilt Commodores, man?
Dude,
oh, yeah.
one-
Wasn't that your dark horse, Virginia Tech?
they almost were.
Oh,
so
that's
I
right,
ended up
okay.
going to SMU.
That's right.
But dude, but if you look, the hype everywhere has been on Virginia Tech.
Oh, bad.
And then I mean, I will say,
get the
oh
ball.
my gosh, that was
Get the
horrible.
ball. I just hit the mic. Sorry, guys.
Dude, I will say that Vanderbilt looked way better than they've looked in probably ever, like that I can remember.
Yeah, but we
mean-
also
Dude,
can't.
guys, it's Jerry Kill. Dude, it's Kill. He came from New Mexico State. He beats Auburn by not just beating Auburn. He beat him by 2 touchdowns. The dude can coach football, and now he's the OC at Vanderbilt, and they looked the part on offense.
Okay, but we can't get super hyped on Vanderbilt football.
Well, no,
'Cause,
I mean,
like this is a big win. It is also
No.
week 1.
Yeah, and I mean that's one thing I will say. I mean, and obviously it
That's
has
a
to be
false start again,
a
man.
long
Thank
term. Like, is it going to be a week to week deal? But I also now wonder too,
No, but I
like,
think everybody can look at it, though.
yeah, I mean, I just wonder if Virginia Tech is actually what people thought they were going to be too, because I mean, this was supposed to be the year they were going to take a huge leap, and now, like, I mean, they weren't my dark horse, but they were up there. I mean, to be a much improved team, and looked like absolute dog mess. So
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Well, then they almost ended up winning the game. So I mean, it was.
Dude, they did come back, and I felt bad for that Vanderbilt kicker because he missed that game winner, and
Yeah.
then they ended up winning anyway.
I
but
feel bad for me for picking Virginia Tech minus 13.5. So
Oof.
yeah, dude,
You had a rough weekend.
that's called a bad beat.
Bad pick.
But dude, like, what do you expect? It's against Vanderbilt. Like, I don't know, man. But I thought it was a big win for them, and we'll see if it boosts them. Georgia Tech. I saw somebody like they think that Georgia Tech potentially has what it takes to win the ACC this year, or at least contend for it. Because their running game has been really good.
Yes.
So, I mean, they look good against. I mean, it was just Georgia State. I mean, I know obviously last week a big win against Florida State, and then they beat Georgia State yesterday. But I mean, like they look solid in both of their showings. So
Yeah, I agree.
it'll be interesting. I mean, the ACC really is a toss-up in my opinion. I mean, Miami's obviously going to be solid. Florida State is probably about what we expected. Like, they're not going to be as good, obviously, as last year, but you don't know how good they can still be.
Yeah, I think again, that's just the first game, a traveling game like that. Again, you play one of those big games at the beginning of the season. It's tough, but I agree.
Is Boston College ACC too?
Yeah,
So they're back to back. Like they're rolling into their schedule already.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. That's like, I think that's where the blueprint for the super conference is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, you just start in conference and then you put your cupcakes or whatever in between. But
Yeah.
But if they go the super conferences, there are going to be no cupcakes. Obviously you'll have your teams that aren't as good as others in your conference, but I don't know. We'll talk more about that whenever it happens.
Go ahead and get the dagger out. Pull the dagger out, Martin. Don't be slow about it. Let's just talk about what happened last night. Go ahead.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, your Aggies, dude. One thing I'll say is that I think defensively, I think both teams have a really good defense. I do think that. But I also think, one, Connor Wegman looked absolutely atrocious.
Dude, he looked very bad. Like, he was missing, like, check downs.
Like, dude, yeah, it was like quick slants. He's throwing behind receivers. Yeah. Like, he looked awful.
The thing about Connor here, this is what, okay, I'll get into it because I'm a huge Aggie.
Get into it, dude.
I'm not, I was always high on Connor, right?
I think your whole fan base was.
Now, he had a great, like, 4 performances, right? But you can't dictate because that goes back to the whole cupcake thing. Like,
yep.
Are you really getting the best measurement from a cupcake game?
Well, dude.
I was always hyped on Haynes King. He's a legend or son of a legend. When he walked away, and I knew that it was going to be Wegman, and eventually that's where like all roads were pointing to. I was not high. I'm not high. I think he's an athletic kid. I think he can make throws. I don't think he's a quarterback in the style of offense that Colin Klein wants to run. I don't think he is.
Well, dude, I feel like a lot of the fan base in Aggie land, they were super high on Wegman again after the three game sample size against Rice, Sam Houston State, and Alcorn State, and they extrapolated the numbers. They even went as far as extrapolating the numbers to a 12-game SEC season, and they're like, "Oh, he has better numbers than Jaden Daniels." Yeah. I saw that so much, and people were so high on him. I mean, even sports books were high on him, man. I think he had like top 5 odds to win the Heisman this year. Like there's some misinformation coming out of Aggie land on his part.
There's a lot of elements to this, and I don't have maroon goggles. I think I've grown out of the maroon goggle phase, Brian, finally in my life.
Took long enough.
This is what I think is. This is a combination of what we're seeing on offense of a Jimbo-esque era that we're coming out of. Number one, we don't have a receiver on the roster that can get separation besides Noah Thomas half the time. Like, we don't. Moose, as much as I love Moose Muhammad, he's not a separation guy. And right now, we don't even have any separation guys, like, really in the recruiting process right now because we're still trying to recover from the atrocity of, like, what we had.
But, dude.
So, Holloman Wiggins, we get him from Alabama, and I'm like, oh, okay, good. This guy's a recruiter. He's a good receivers coach. We still can't get damn separation. We still can't catch a ball, and we're not running, like, crisp routes. It's annoying.
Well, I also feel like expectations were pretty high in Aggie land for a lot of their fans, but you can't have the mass exodus like y'all had after losing a coach and expect to have like a 10-win season. And I think that was the thing. And A&M's schedule was pretty favorable, I think, compared to some other schedules in the SEC. Mm-hmm. But you can't didn't one of y'all's top receivers go to like Oregon or something? Like
Evan Stewart.
You can't lose names like that. One of LSU's like DBs transferred from A&M. Like, there's some big names that left A&M, like 5 stars, when y'all had that top recruiting class of all time. Like, you can't lose those blue chip prospects and expect to like dominate. But the one thing I will say is Notre Dame's defense, they have NFL talent on their defense. Like, Notre Dame defense, like their defense, they have Sunday guys on that roster.
Well, they said I think they have the top cornerback in the nation.
Yeah, at all levels. They are NFL ready.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say too. Like, I don't have BAS, and BAS is battered Aggie syndrome. I think Aggies get that everywhere when we lose. Like that's a real thing. I didn't have high expectations I was very, very decently surprised for playing as bad as we did, it only being a 7-point game, to a very seasoned defense. That defense, when Pro Football Focus has them ranked number 3 going into the season because of how much NFL roster ready talent they have. Now, for us playing as good as we did, losing by 20-13 is not a bad loss. There, I think you can examine it and you can pick positive and negatives from it.
I mean, scoring 13
However,
points at home is tough.
Well, I would say too. I mean,
Very
like
tough.
I think when you look
But
at it
it's
too,
against
is
a
that
top-ranked opponent.
And Riley Leonard kept that game closer than it should have been.
well, I was gonna say that's what I was gonna say.
He
Is
did not look
like
good
is
either.
both defenses were good, but neither offense was really that good. Like it finally took Notre Dame's run game to finally find holes that really ended up making the difference. Because Riley Leonard, I mean, he looked better in the fourth quarter, like just as far as some of the passes he made. But the first 3 quarters, I mean, they were pretty equal.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that's really a lot of why it stayed so even, just because it was a defensive battle. Like,
And we're talking about these
I'm
teams.
praying.
We're talking about these teams like obviously there were some wrinkles and the offense looked bad, the defense looked good. But again, going back to what we said at the very beginning of the podcast, it's the very first game of the season, and you have to go up against that. And so for both teams, like you're gonna have growing pains, especially week 1. Like that's just part of it. And it just so happens to be in an era where losing the first game of the season can make or break you making the playoff.
well,
I'm
and
hoping
that's
that
what
this gives a chance for us to look at Colin Klein and Colin Klein to look at. There's a guy on roster behind Connor Wegman who I'm very high on, and that's from freaking Tennessee, Mr. Tennessee. Marcel Reed. He played the end of that bowl game against Oklahoma State. Everybody's been talking about he's got the same arm talent. It's just Connor's the guy that everybody wanted him to be, I guess, or thought he was, or I don't know. He was high on Colin Klein's. I'm like hoping that this gives a chance for like Marcel Reed to like be able to see in primetime action. I'm hoping, I'm praying.
well, and I even heard the commentators, because I know you said earlier that Wegman doesn't fit the offense, and I remember the commentators trying to say that he did at one point, that he's a mobile quarterback, but there was nothing that I ever saw that led me to believe that
Why is he throwing his
Wegman was any sort of kind of like he really had any kind of mobility. And I don't think he wants to be mobile because he keeps having those lower body injuries. Like, I don't think he would want to do that.
Facts.
And that's what I was going to say too. Like with Aggie's like injury history with quarterbacks, like your boy might get a shot sooner rather than later.
Well, and I mean, how many other offensive linemen? They had like 3 offensive linemen go out last night. Like, as far as just injuries, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough for sure.
Well, we are getting into like, so. I mean, Lucas would know the name better than anybody, but Moffitt, our strength conditioning coordinator, that was one thing that, like, he took over the program when Elko brought him on. And if there's one thing that Moffitt bred at LSU, and it was a hard-nosed physical football team, and that's what we're trying to be. And so I think you see the transition, but injuries are going to be a big thing because of you can read reports and stuff of how they're working in season harder than they were working, during the summer conditioning is what reports are saying. So maybe it's just an attrition thing. I don't know.
I don't know, man, but we'll see. I mean, A&M's going to need to bounce back because, I mean, I think just based on what they lose, I mean, I think that they kind of got a favor by being number 20. I mean, I don't consider them a top 20 team, so I mean, they're going to have work to do. But I mean, defense is going to keep them in games. They're just going to have to figure out a way to score points. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Georgia looked good.
Georgia looked real good. That made my ACC pick not feel good.
Yeah.
Dabo Swinney, dude, like
Georgia's going to win the national championship. I'm going to tell you right now.
yeah, I mean that was my pick too. But I mean, just as far as production wise, I mean they got a lot of production, but also like Dabo Swinney, at what point is he gonna just finally bite the bullet and say like and he probably never will. But like, at what point is he going to say like, okay, like I've got to buy into the transfer portal?
But how much of that was Georgia being really good and Clemson not being very good either? Because Klubnik looked awful.
I was about to say that too.
That's what I'm saying.
Klubnik looked
like,
awful because Carson Beck in the first half looked awful as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very low scoring.
It was
first
3-3 at half.
Yeah,
if that.
Yeah, it was 6-3 or 3-3.
Yeah,
it was close. Yeah,
and so I mean, Georgia's offense still, I mean, that remains to be seen. Their defense is really good, but if their defense goes up against a Texas, like Texas's offense rolled.
Yeah.
I mean, they played Colorado State again. How much of a measuring stick is that? You don't know, but they have a play caller that's third year in the system and the whole thing. That's why Texas is my pick to win it all because.
Well, I think
offense,
my dark horse pick for the national championship besides Georgia, I don't even call him a dark horse. I just think, watching him and the guy that's now calling the plays, Ohio State is every bit the part of a national championship contender because the play caller they have makes them even more dynamic than what they already were.
Well, yeah, they just spent $20 million to get to that, though. So
yeah.
Like, dude, I remember I read an article about Ohio State where it talked about, like, their whole formula was how are we going to be better than Michigan now? And so they said 2 years ago that Ryan Day told them it was going to cost them $12 million, and then now, like 2 years later, now it's going to he's saying it's $20 million. So, they definitely do. I mean, as far as just like overall athletes and skill players, Ohio State's got the guys for it. But one thing you look at too is that Ohio State has never won the big game that they've had to win. Like the last 3 years, they lost to Michigan. They got in the playoff and they got smacked. So they every opportunity that they've gotten to prove that they can do it on the big stage, they failed.
Yeah.
And so so if there's any season to do it, this is the season, especially the way Oregon looked last night. Ohio State should win the Big Ten.
Dude, but did you see how many yards they had?
Yeah, it was
like Dylan Gabriel completed like 40 of 43 passes. Like he went 40 of 43 with like 400 yards, and they just weren't scoring because it was all check down. It's still check down Oregon. Like they're throwing the ball 2 yards down the field max.
That's what Dylan Gabriel does. Like he's not a downfield guy.
That's crazy to me. But no, again, coming out of the weekend, obviously Georgia looked really good against a good opponent. Texas's offense is going to literally. I feel like. If Texas's defenses can be in the top 60 in defenses in the country, they're a huge.
Yeah,
obviously
their biggest question mark was their secondary.
Yeah,
and
they didn't get tested. I was
gonna say like Torrey Horton. I don't even know if he really. Their quarterback never had a chance to throw the ball. Like, dude, like the pass rush was unbelievable. That offensive line had zero chance.
Absolutely.
So so you could say Torrey Horton may have been trying to push it downfield. Sure,
but Ewers made all the throws. Isaiah Bond looked like the real deal at wide receiver one. So Texas has a stable of running backs. That blue dude looked electric.
Where was Silas Bolden, dude?
God, yeah. I don't know. But no, it's Texas is looked really good. Obviously, big test this week, and we'll kind of go over it with our 5 picks, a little bit later on. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. There were some good things coming out of the weekend, and then there was a lot of like just mediocre stuff.
Which for the most part, that's what you expect out of week one is a lot of just very average games, and then you have our Bobcats sneaking out with a dub versus Lamar, dude.
I was thinking about putting UTSA Texas State on the pick'em game, but I
was hoping that'd be a throttling, but now I don't know.
God, yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, so we'll see, man. But yeah, the NCAA it's obviously gonna be a lot of fun. We'll talk about our 5 games here in a minute. We'll give our picks, and then just like we did last week, we'll send them out and then have everybody else pick as well. Before we get rolling into the NFL, we do want to say, and we'll say it again later. Thank you to everybody that did participate. We got a lot of participation.
Oh, dude, it was crazy
in the first week pick'ems, and so it's going to make the competition a lot better. We got a little worried that not many people would participate, and then you have 4 guys that are competing for a shirt.
Yeah.
But we got a lot more than that, so we're looking forward to it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So keep sending your picks and get other people to do it too, because anybody can do it. Even though we started last week, you can still keep sending them in. So, but. Anyway, let's get rolling. So the other biggest part of football, and one caveat here is that Lucas is not a huge NFL guy, so that's partly why I have Cam on the podcast tonight, so I have somebody to talk to. But Lucas used to be a Saints fan back in the day, and then Greg Williams broke his heart with the Bounty Gate, and
no, it was the NOLA no call. After the NOLA no call,
that's true against the
Rams. Against the Rams. It was the NFC Championship game.
Oh, that's
Nola,
right,
no
it
call.
was, yeah.
Dude gets absolutely murdered on the sideline.
Yes.
No PI call. And then we end up losing the game. And that was the most boring Super Bowl I've ever seen. That was when the Patriots scored. I think
It was 16-3.
Yeah.
You know?
Drew Brees for sure gets his second Super Bowl. But again, I literally haven't watched a game since, and I'm good not
Yeah,
watching
so-
it. So, yeah.
I still love the $190 billion super being that is the NFL. So we're just going to do a real brief. We won't do the divisions and break down all that like we did at college, but we will give a breakdown today. You know, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Cam, I'm just going to roll down through the divisions. We'll just kind of talk about just very briefly just each of the top teams, all that, and just kind of roll from there. So one article I found is actually through NFL.com. They actually ranked the divisions from worst to best. So that's kind of how I was going to go through it. So if you want to roll with me, Cam, I mean, so starting off, we had the NFC South. They were horrible, absolutely atrocious last year. So the Buccaneers won the division last year at 9-8. They won the division the year before at 8-9. So the NFC South is bad, but I think it has the potential to be better. You know, Baker Mayfield's coming back for another season with Tampa Bay. I think that they're going to be pretty good. The Falcons decided they're going to spend a ton of money. They signed Kirk Cousins. And then also questionably, kind of like we talked about before, they questionably draft Michael Penix Jr., but they also helped bounce their defense up too. So I think it's really going to be a two-team race there. I mean, the Saints, Derek Carr coming back for another season. You know, he's never really shown me that he can really lead a team and be really a top-level quarterback. And then the Panthers are just awful. So I don't know. What do you think, Cam?
Well, now man, the NFC South, it's like the armpit of the South. It is the Sun Belt. Like, it is not very good football.
It reminds me of what the NFC
I'm
East
still-
was like 8 years ago or something.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm still trying to figure out who the hell was in that draft room when they decided to pull the trigger on Penix.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
I'm still trying to figure out, was that like an accident? Like, you didn't mean to hit the screen and nobody wants to take,
I don't know.
like, I'm like, ugh. And then the Panthers, like, I don't know if I've seen a worse draft evaluation of a quarterback in my entire life. Like, I'm still, like, questioning why. Anyways, we could be here forever talking about that. But, yes, I think the Carolina Panthers are terrible. I think it's insane that for 2 seasons you go 9-8 and 8-9 is your championship winner. That's insane to me. I just, in my opinion, I think Tampa Bay might be the good team. I don't know. Maybe Atlanta takes a step up, but I don't even know who to pick. It's a toss up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Atlanta will win it this year just because. I think Kirk Cousins is a viable option at quarterback, all things considered. I mean, one of the biggest things is people are always down on Cousins and they're up on Dak, but if you look, like, their stats are like almost exactly equal over the past however many years. So I think if you just look at it, I mean, I don't see any reason why Kirk Cousins can't lead them and win the division. I mean, especially when it's so wide open, and you have 6 games that are interdivision. So, I mean, I think they have a good shot to win it for sure.
So the Saints aren't winning it?
No, the Saints will not win the division this year.
All right. Cool. Whatever.
Is that your contribution to the NFC South?
I was just seeing if y'all thought they would win. I don't know.
No, I mean, Derek Carr.
Jameis, baby.
Yeah. Jameis doesn't even play for me
I know,
anymore.
I
Where
know.
is Jameis Winston now? I think he plays for the Browns.
I think he's in Cleveland, right?
Yeah, he's with the Browns now. So he's behind Deshaun Watson. So
No, I do know Spencer Rattler's with the Saints, though.
oh yeah,
What a
dude.
play, baby. What a play.
I think he had an absolutely horrible preseason too,
Oh, cool.
Spencer Rattler. So not a whole lot to look forward to with the Saints.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what they do have in Louisiana though. It's LSU football.
that's
so.
exactly right, baby. Big TFL right there.
That's all they got. That's it.
Yeah, but
That's all we need, baby. That's all we need.
That's right. But I think I think the Falcons went in the NFC South, and then the next worst division is the AFC West.
Oh, God, they're going.
Lot of question marks in the AFC West. Obviously you have the Chiefs that are on top. They've been good. 2 years ago, you thought the Broncos, like everybody had the Broncos coming in and win the division because they got Russell Wilson in there, and that was just an absolute debacle. and 2 years later he's already out.
What was his thing? Broncos country, let's ride.
Let's ride.
That was the best, man. That was the best meme ever.
Like this, the West, the AFC West hurts my heart because, like, yes, you have Kansas City, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm a big Sean Payton fan. I like Sean Payton. I'm still trying to figure out what in the hell he's doing. I don't think even he knows what he's doing.
I think his biggest thing is I don't think he liked Russell Wilson. I don't think he felt like it fit his offense. And so he was never a fan of that to begin with. And so when they brought him in, it was like, we'll just make this work. And so now, I will say, I think the Broncos will be interesting this year because, we talked about it, last week or 2 weeks ago that Bo Nix, like, he had a good preseason. Like, he looked sharp. I mean, I know we talked about when he was at Oregon, he was a check down guy, and maybe that's what he did. Obviously, I didn't watch his games, but he had 2 solid games that he played in and before he was named the starter. So I think that as far as everything goes, that he's going to be. I mean, I think he'll be a decent guy at the end of it all. So, and then like Gardner Minshew being named the starter for the Raiders. Like that was kind of like a mind blowing thing for me because like Gardner Minshew is the new Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like,
I just think, I can't believe that guy Garner gets like second and third chances everywhere, dude. Like he has to be besides. Oh, what was his name? The lifelong backup that was from the zoo. What was his name a couple years ago? Mock or?
Oh, you're talking about
what was his name?
Chase Daniels?
Chase Daniels, like, dude, that's Garner. Like he doesn't get to start like Garner did, but like I'm like, dude, he gets second chances everywhere. I don't like if you get named that starting quarterback in Oakland. I mean, I don't know if that's even a blessing or a curse, honestly.
Does he still have a mustache?
Oh yeah, dude, he's still rocking the mustache and the mullet. So.
Oh, and
Yeah,
the whole,
dude.
yeah. Dude,
I said hell yeah.
his hype video. Did you see his hype video? His hype video cracked me.
Yes, dude. I was like showing him like putting in work, and he had like muscle shirts and stuff. Like, yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, he's a crazy dude, but I don't know. Yeah, Vegas. I don't think Vegas is gonna be pretty good. And then obviously, the new L.A. Chargers. Jim Harbaugh taking over there. Kind of wondering what he's gonna do with all that. So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see like what he can do. One thing I did read is that they said that the Chargers have one of the worst skill groups in the NFL. So, I mean, Justin Herbert just got that, 50-something per year mil extension, and he has nobody to throw to.
I have his rookie auto.
Are you serious?
I swear.
I got to be honest. I think the Chargers are the one team in the NFL I absolutely know nothing about other than Jim Harbaugh. I was keeping on for a little bit because they had Isaiah Spiller, but then they just cut Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah,
So
I think they have Devin A-Chain.
I thought he's still with the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah, man, yeah, you're right.
Come on now, don't blow my brain like that.
Yeah, dude.
Come on, bro.
I was trying to get you hyped about nothing, so. But
Yeah,
man, I mean,
know, but
they
like,
lost Keenan Allen, they lost Mike Williams. I mean, like, yeah, the Chargers don't have anything right now.
No, they're in complete rebuild mode right now.
Well, and Justin Herbert, I've never even thought of him as being like a top level quarterback. He's never impressed me, but I mean,
No.
he looked okay at Oregon, but even like at Oregon, I never thought he was like great. So I was surprised that he was even a first round pick. But yeah, so I don't know, man. Apparently these quote unquote experts know a lot more than us, but I don't know. But
Yeah, what do we know? We're just
Yeah.
football and
Yeah.
being
we're couch fans over here. So we have our next division. We have the NFC West. The 49ers. Obviously, they go to the Super Bowl last year. Still can't get over the hump. They still they lose the Chiefs. Chiefs get the back-to-back Super Bowl. So I mean, San Francisco. I mean, obviously, I think they're going to run away with the division. The Rams are just kind of. I think the Rams at this point are just kind of cruising, just hoping to get in the playoffs, just kind of sneak in. Seattle's in full remodel now. They lost Pete Carroll. They got rid of Russell Wilson a couple years ago. I mean, I just think they're on the complete downspin. And then the Cardinals. I mean, I think the Cardinals are just bad. I mean, everybody wants Kyler Murray to bounce back and be great, but I mean, Kyler Murray, like, I don't because I mean they got Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft this year. You still got DeAndre Hopkins, but I just don't know like if the Cardinals can actually be any good. So I mean unless somebody thinks otherwise, I think it's the 49ers really division to lose.
I think that division has two teams that have the capability of being offensive prowesses and have the ability. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think the Rams having Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacuna on the field at the same time healthy is extremely dangerous for that division. I mean, I my personal opinion, I think the Rams, if anybody out of that division could challenge San Fran, it would be the Rams for sure.
Yeah, but do you think like at what point do you think the Rams like start rebuilding? Like, do you think that they still think that they have enough that they can keep being like still keep playing and try to compete for the division?
I don't think defensively, no. I think offensively, yes. I think offensively, that's a McVay mind. Like I think he's just is an offensive minded guy, and I think in his mind, offense wins championships. And I think they're in complete rebuild mode on defense, not on offense. Dude, I'm telling you, think about it. You think about how good Cooper Kupp has been and how big of a breakout year Puka had last year. And then you throw in a guy like Jordan Whittington that they got for cheap. They still got a good quarterback. Like Matthew Stafford is pretty legit.
No, I agree with that, but I just think I feel like in the NFL you have to have a high contending defense in order to compete. And their defense was great, but now it's really fallen off, and I just don't think that they've enough. I don't think they'll be able to just outscore people every week. I mean, I think there's certain people they will, but I think at this point, I think if you're the Rams, you know that Matthew Stafford's kind of on the downhill turn of his career. Why not see what you can get for Cooper Kupp? Why not see what you can get for Puka and just kind of, start your rebuild now. At least you can trade one of those guys, but
for sure. Yeah, I think if you are in rebuild, that's the year. I don't think you would get much for Cooper as you would Puka just because how young Puka is. I'm pretty sure last year was that year 1 or year 2 for him.
I think last year he was a rookie.
Yeah, so his contract negotiations are about to start peaking up, and I think he's going to be able to test the market a little bit. I think Brandon Ayuk is doing something that was been unheard of. I think he's about to set the market for a receiver. But I think Puka, he has another breakout year. You're going to see a guy they could get a lot for Puka if they really wanted to.
Dude, and I just saw Ayuk, he just signed his extension. It's like 4-year. $130 million, so he didn't set the record or whatever, but he still got paid like huge money. And dude, they showed his stats. Like his stats were like 80th since 2000, or like since he came to the league or something. Like his stats overall were like way like at the bottom of the league. Like it was unbelievable the amount of money that he was able to get out of the 49ers for essentially doing mediocre work.
Oh, I agree. I think this is going to become a situation that's going to come back and bite him in the butt. I don't think Brandon Ayuk is the number one kind of money threat. I don't think he's that guy. I don't. No, that's just my opinion. If I were to name him top 5 right now, Brandon Ayuk is not in my top 5.
Yeah, but I think I'll take it, though, because it just means that the 49ers are losing money to spend elsewhere, so I'll take it. So, as a Cowboys fan. Facts. But we'll keep rolling. AFC South, AFC South last year, the Texans surprising everybody. C.J. Stroud having a great rookie season. Defense much improved. They actually got a lot of young talent. Now with all that young talent they have, they're spending a ton of money just trying to bring different guys in. You got Stephon Diggs, you got Joe Mixon, and that already goes with, Tank Dell, C.J. Stroud at quarterback. You got a lot, and then you bring in Daniel Hunter to help with your pass rush. The Texans are really going all out right now before they have to, pay C.J. Stroud whatever kind of insane amount of money the market's going to be at in 3 or 4 more years. But I think it's going to be an interesting run. I think Jacksonville, they dealt with a lot of injuries last year. So I don't know how good they're going to be. And then the Colts, Anthony Richardson actually looked pretty legit. People thought he was a reach, but I actually thought he was pretty impressive last year when he played. And then on the bottom, you have God, who's on the bottom? I don't even remember who's on the bottom. They're horrible though. Who's the fourth team in the division? Tennessee. Oh, Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee's gonna be bad. So.
Oh yeah, Tennessee is in a downward spiral. Tennessee is the one team that's in. If you could name right now is in a downward spiral, it's Tennessee.
Dude, they hired Brian Callahan as their head coach. Like that's dumb itself.
There you go. That's it. I don't know. I was a for some reason I always like go back to watching Tennessee. I just can't ever. I just remember the old great Tennessee Titans and when how hyped it was for the move, and I feel like the fan base had just peaked a year ago, and now it's back to being bad again.
Well, and I thought Mike Vrabel was a really good quarterback. I mean, a really good head coach, and they gave him no quarterback to work with. That's what blew my mind. So, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I think the Texans. People are very high on the Texans, but it's what I keep telling people is that for all the people that are hyped up about C.J. Stroud, just wait one more season because Dak had an incredible rookie season, and then he fell off in year two, and now Dak is what Dak is. So for all you that are hyped about C.J. Stroud, just hold on, just let's see what he can do this year, and then if he has another great year this year, then I'll jump on the train as well. But I'm not bought on C.J. Stroud yet, just because it's still early in his career.
But I'm going to tell you somebody who I really like. I am a big fan of D'Amico Ryans. I just like him as a person. I like him as a coach. But I'm going to tell you what. You want to talk about any team who built on the offseason amazing over the last 2 years? How do you get all that offensive weapon firepower around a young quarterback like that and not have high expectations? You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Dude, getting Tank Dell, who did they get in the offseason at running back? It was Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon, yeah.
I'm like, oh my God! You add a running security blanket, dude. How can you not make the moves he did and surround yourself with good talent, under a young quarterback with good talent like that, and not, you know what I mean? They've invested some time. And then I was reading an article, I forgot who it was by, that said that there's people that are kind of doing the Tom Brady thing right now and thinking about restructuring contracts in Houston to get more to win a championship. D'Amico has that locker room, he has that organization believing his hype.
For sure. And I mean, I think D'Amico Ryans is a great coach, and I think they're going to be good, but I just want a bigger sample size than one season, especially with that division. Because I mean, I think they went 10-7, which was already overachieving, and then when the division was big. So we'll just see if it can stay consistent. But I mean, I think that they have to be the favorites. But if Trevor Lawrence can have a better season this year, if Anthony Richardson can have a repeat of what he started to look like he had last year, then I think it can be a pretty competitive division overall. So
yeah, it could be probably one of the more competitive.
Yeah, for sure. So, then we'll roll into our boys in the NFC East. The Cowboys won the division last year, 12-5, absolutely falling on their face in the wild card rounds. Which whatever, we all know how that goes. But I mean, I think when you look at the division, I mean, I know just from a Cowboys fan perspective, I'm not super excited about the Cowboys this year. I mean, I was never a huge fan. I was a fan of Mike McCarthy year one, and then because they talked about how he adjusted the way that he did things, that he was changing the way that his style, and then he comes in, he adapts his style to what Dak already knows, or what Kellen Moore was doing, and so. And then now here we go into year 4, and it's the same results that we've been seeing the last 3 years. So I don't know what to expect. And then the Eagles, they start 10-1 last year, go on a 1-6 slide to end the season, and so then they kind of really just fall off the face of the earth. But I mean, I think they still have one of the better skill groups, if not one of the best skill groups in the league. And then, the Commanders, they draft Jaden Daniels, which I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a good quarterback, but he has zero weapons. One of their better weapons, Jahan Dotson, they actually just traded to the Eagles. So, which is kind of crazy to me.
I have to let out my secret that I've been keeping from you for a while.
All right.
My fiance's family are massive Eagles fans, dude.
Oh, man.
And yeah. And having to listen, dude, like the Eagles are loaded, man. But I'm going with the same Cowboys approach that I told you I was going to go with in 2019. I'm just going to not cheer for them out loud and cheer for them silently.
Yep.
Because when I cheer for them out loud, we're going to go 4-14 or 4-12 and sign Troy Hambrick again as a running back. So I'm just gonna not cheer out loud. But I do think I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how to be not high on Dak. People are. I'm not. I can't be right now. It flash. You see flashes. He's one of the most inconsistent quarterbacks in terms of flashing, and then how in the world we didn't address the biggest issue in the offseason. I mean, there's a starting running back in Dallas that is as tall as me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, and Zeke gets named the number one running back, which Zeke he was done in the league 3 years ago. And now he's back to being number one in Dallas. I don't understand it, but
then I just saw the Cowboys. What is it? He just tore his ACL. Sam
Williams,
Sam Williams. I'm like, dude, it can't keep getting worse. And then not only did you kind of stay par, Jerry Jones again screws this whole pooch up. But now on top of that, you allow the Eagles to not only even revamp even more, but go out and sign a massive addition at running back. I'm like, oh my God, now you even get better with Saquon Barkley.
I will say though, I think Saquon's a good running back, but I don't think he's as good as people want him to be. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. He'll probably go off on the Cowboys twice this year now. But every time he's played the Cowboys, I've never really been just super impressed with him. And he's had his games here and there, but it always seems to be against bad defenses. But I don't know, man. I hope I'm right. But and maybe he'll prove me wrong and be elite this year. But I don't know what to think about Saquon, but I definitely think it's better than what the Cowboys have, which, like you said, they have Zeke, they have Rico Dowdle, who hopefully have a good year, and then they're going to have then they just signed Dalvin Cook, which, of course, is Dalvin Cook. So I think it's going to be interesting, man. And then the Commanders, like I said, they don't have any weapons, and the Giants are the Giants. Daniel Jones looked atrocious this preseason, and it's hilarious to me that they paid him so much money to stick around. So I hope the Giants continue to be as bad as what they look like they're going to be.
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you this. The only thing that
Why are we running the football? Why?
The only thing that the Giants have going for them right now is Brian Dabble knows how to lose weight. That's about it.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't even realize that was him.
Yeah, it's a totally different
first
guy.
of all,
I saw that too.
Talk about another draft stock. I'm like, where do people see this stuff? What are they looking at when you go evaluate these quarterbacks? I don't think that I'm just some guru, but golly, another talk about a whiff. Daniel Jones showed maybe 6 good games at Duke that senior, and then he blew up. And I'm like, what is going on? But the Giants are terrible. The Giants are bad.
Yeah, my only guess was it was just the intangibles and his size. It's kind of like when Blaine Gabbert got drafted out of Missouri. He showed literally zero, but then they drafted him anyway, and it was just kind of crazy. So I don't know, man, but I'll take it. Like I said, anything that helps the Cowboys potentially win the division again. For all we know, they'll go 12-5 again, win the division again somehow, and then lose to somebody else in the just zero expectations this year. But
yeah, see, you have BCS, dude. You have battered Cowboy syndrome.
Oh yeah, dude.
See what I mean?
For years and years. That's right. So it doesn't get better. Oh man, but we'll keep rolling. We got three more left. We got the AFC East. You know, the AFC East is going to be actually the AFC East is going to be really good. The Dolphins are going to be good again. They got a lot of different weapons. You got the Jets. You know, if Aaron Rodgers can bounce back from his Achilles, which they actually said like he's looked really good. They said this is the most reps he's taken in the offseason probably in his career. He took like 800 practice reps or something. The Bills, you know, the Bills lost a bunch of their weapons. And Josh Allen, you know, he's got top 5 in the MVP the last 3 seasons. And then the Patriots, I think the Patriots over-under in wins is like 4.5. So they actually just named Jacoby Brissett their starting quarterback too. So Drake May's going to sit on the bench. And they have the hardest schedule in the league. So, I mean, I don't know, and I think it's going to be kind of a toss-up. I think the Dolphins are the favorites right now. Just because I think like as far as like weapons and you know Tua really showed that he can be solid. Josh Allen losing a bunch of his weapons from what he's had in the past. You know, losing Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, I think is going to be tough. And then you know the Jets. You know the Jets have talent, but I just don't know like what Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to do. If he's going to be able to do a big turnaround. So I mean I think I have the Dolphins winning that one.
Well, no, I agree. I think that's the safest pick, honestly. But I will say this, and I made this bet the other day. I think if there's going to be anybody who has a breakout year receiver, it's coming from New York, and that's Garrett Wilson.
For
I
sure.
think a healthy Aaron Rodgers automatically makes New York a contender in that league, just because the type of quarterback he is. I mean, you can have average. I mean, God, dude, they were winning games with Zach Wilson. I mean,
Yeah.
oof. If you can win games with Zach Wilson, good Lord. I mean, you can do wonders with an elite quarterback like Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, for
And
sure.
I saw the other day, and I read an article that Devontae Adams wants to rejoin Aaron Rodgers before the end of his career again. So, like, can you imagine Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams?
That's
on the
probably
same field?
him just wanting to get out of Las Vegas too, because the Raiders ain't going to be good. So
Did you see that video of the Raiders fan the other day? And he was like,
No.
What are your high expectations of the Raiders? And he's like, we suck. We'll win 3 games.
Yeah. Just expect it now. So that's awesome. Dang, man. But yeah, man. So we'll see. I mean, I think the Dolphins are going to be good, but I think it'll be a good race. But the race I'm kind of excited about too is the NFC North, man. I mean, Detroit, like, I'll tell you what, like, if I wasn't a diehard Cowboys fan all my whole life, like, I would be a Lions fan, man. I love Dan Campbell. Like, I don't know. Do you watch the Hard Knocks every year?
I do.
Do you ever watch the Hard Knocks?
I can't say I've seen a single episode of any season.
So, like, I mean, the Hard Knocks is like, it's a whole big thing.
Yeah,
It's
behind
like,
the scenes.
Yeah, it's like the behind the scenes.
Yeah,
So
I know what it is.
So, like, when Dan Campbell came in, you know, like he gave his whole big hype speech. Everybody's hyped up on him, and then I watched the Hard Knocks and like the way that he like works with the guys and the way that he got the players to buy in. Man, like I'm just a fan of Dan Campbell, and so like that's pretty much like my number 2 team that I root for. And so I mean I think that they still the favorites to win it. You know, they got Ben Johnson, their OC coming back. They've got Aaron Glenn coming back as DC. So I mean I think they're still the favorites. And then you know Green Bay just signed Jordan Love to that giant extension, which he got that. Thank you to the Cowboys for that extension because I mean I think they didn't know what they were going to do before that. And then they add on, you know, DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, and then you have the Bears. I think we talked about it before, like Caleb Williams, like he has a bunch of weapons. Like the Bears can actually be decent this year. And then, so I mean, I think it's really going to be kind of interesting, but I think that obviously the Lions, I mean, go to the NFC Championship, it's hard to root against them or bet against them this year.
Well, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's the first time I've ever heard you say, I love an Aggie. So you said Dan Campbell, so good job. I'm going to hold that one against you for a while
It's the
now.
only thing I'll ever say. So.
Dude, he is a great leader, dude. I mean, that Hard Knocks changed my view about him tremendously. Is like, can he do it? I think 3/4 of coaching football has to do with a player buy-in more than anything, and
For
like
sure.
buying into a belief. And not only that, like he had that whole entire town believing in Detroit football. I mean, this isn't too far remembered watching Cowboys and destroy Harrington on freaking Thanksgiving, and the the Lions being dwellers. I mean, dude, they've stacked up severely off-season wise in like transactions and moves. I mean, you're getting Jahmyr Gibbs adds to the already frightful offense, but now you're returning everybody back, and then you have an hellacious defense led by another Aggie, by the way, Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that's a if I were to pick anybody out of NFC to really maybe contend to go to the Super Bowl, Detroit's I'm going to have to ride with. I mean, I'm going to have to, just because I think the elements are there to be put in place.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they can just be consistent and then just find a way to beat the 49ers, I mean, I think they definitely have a chance. I mean, they got a heck of a pass rush. So if you can get to, Brock Purdy and force him to make mistakes, I mean, it's definitely the opportunities are there. So it's going to be a good race. I mean, I think they definitely win the division this year, but then it's going further than that. I mean, the Vikings, that was the 14th. They're going to be bad, especially now they lost they lost what was expected to be their star, J.J. McCarthy, for the season. So they're in full rebuild mode in Minnesota. But
were you even high on him? Can you tell me? Were you a J.J. McCarthy fan?
Absolutely not. I mean, we talked about like
he's a give it to him.
He's a game manager. Like that's what he does. Like he just managed games and he let his defense win games for him. But if you look at his stats in the preseason, I know it's preseason, but I mean he looks solid. Like he threw for a decent amount of yards. So I mean he showed flashes of being good.
That's another evaluation. I'm like, what were they looking for? I mean, I know we can sit here and talk about it, but I mean, let's go back to when they drafted Kellen Mond. I was like, look, I don't even know what the hell y'all are seeing, but I had to watch it for 2 years. Y'all really want to draft this dude?
Well, at least Kellen Mond was like a 4th round pick. Like it wasn't a first round.
No, I know, but then you
12
see
overall.
him, you turn on freaking Sunday and he's starting. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I know, man. It's crazy. So I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see. But our last division is the AFC North. AFC North, obviously the number 1 seed from last year. The Ravens, they're always on top. So one stat I actually saw is that last year the AFC North was the first division since the merger of the AFL and NFL in 1970 where every single team in the division had a winning record at the end of the season, which I thought was insane. Like, because I mean, like the Ravens are on top. Then you had Cleveland, which Cleveland's been bad forever, but now they're showing signs of life. They have a great defense. Cincinnati, go to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They showed signs like they could push it again this year or this past year, and then Joe Burrow, gets hurt with his wrist, and then even the Steelers, have Kenny Pickett running quarterback, and Mike Tomlin. I mean, Mike Tomlin still despite everything, still finds a way to win games. So it's kind of crazy to see, man. But I think the Ravens still win the division, but I think it's going to be super interesting. See what Russell Wilson can do. See if he can have any kind of reemergence with the Steelers this year. See if Deshaun Watson can finally make a run in Cleveland. And then see if Joe Burrow can stay healthy for a season. Because, I mean, he tears his ACL his rookie season, goes to the Super Bowl second season, then he tears a ligament in his wrist. So it's just a lot of struggles it feels like he's been going through. So I think that's going to be that. I mean, they have that as the most competitive division, and I think it's warranted for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. First of all, I never would have thought I would have ever heard myself say Cleveland and Cincinnati football were good.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I mean? And
for
then
sure.
Dallas is down. I'm like, what? I mean, you think about it. Think about the 3 teams that we're talking about. Detroit, Cleveland, Cincinnati. And now it's like everything's reversed. It's insane to me. But I do agree. I think Joey Buckets and Cincinnati, if they get this Jamar Chase thing figured out, dude, Cincinnati could be tough. The Steelers, you're going to get with the Steelers. You're going to get hard-nosed playing football. That's Mike Tomlin. But let's see. You're right. Does Justin Fields eventually beat out, Russell Wilson? Does Russell Wilson reemerge? I think the big question in that entire division is Cleveland. What is Cleveland? Is Cleveland going to sink, or Cleveland going to end up start creeping back with Deshaun Watson? I mean, the keys are there for sure.
Oh yeah.
In Cleveland, the keys are there, but it's all right. What Cleveland team is going to emerge. You know what I mean? Like I think there's always been like two versions. I mean, think about it. Like a couple years ago, they were loaded and on offense, and then all of a sudden it's like they fizzled. I mean, I get it. Kareem Hunt got hurt that year, but I'm like, dude, they were loaded that year.
For sure. Yeah, man. And I thought that was like one of their better opportunities to really make a run, but I guess we'll never know, man. But that's the NFL. So who do you think comes on top of the end? Do you have any kind of idea?
Okay, so I've made this prediction, and I made this prediction about 2 weeks ago in the office, and everybody's like, "You're an idiot." Okay, this is my Super Bowl. I think the Super Bowl is going to be. I think we're going to see Houston and Detroit. That's my pick.
Oh gosh, dude.
That's what my pick is, man.
Our
Houston,
buddy
Detroit.
Aaron is gonna be slobbering listening to that, dude.
Well, is that who he picked?
Well, he's a huge Texans fan. Like, he's all excited about the season coming.
I think that D'Amico Ryans has the keys in place. I think the Heat, if the cards play out right and they can stay healthy, I'm not saying C.J. Stroud is the dude, but I think he's got pieces around him to help. I mean, you're a second-year quarterback, and you have a guy like Joe Mixon that is a check down you can give the ball to and rely on, plus an offensive line that's, kind of pretty salty in starts. It's hard to not look at Houston and be like, oof. And then you got Detroit. I mean, Detroit was 2 drives away from, in my opinion, I have to go back and watch, but I'm not so sure that
Make the tackle.
Detroit right now isn't a championship contender if Jared Goff has the same kind of year.
Oh, for sure, yeah. He's got to stay consistent, which who would have thought that, since 2016. He takes the Rams. It hasn't been since then. So it's kind of funny to think that, he could be back in the Super Bowl years later with Detroit of all places.
Who do you got?
I don't know, man. Like, for me, it's hard. Like, it's hard for me to ever bet against Kansas City just because, I think Andy Reid is an absolute mastermind. And then just the weapons that they have year after year. And then San Francisco, I know depth is going to be a problem for them this year, but I think as far as what they have, it's still going to be hard for them to lose. So it's going to be tough, man. I think as far as like what I think right now, I would say it's probably going to be a repeat of last year, probably be Kansas City and San Fran, but
that's a safe bet, Brian.
Yeah,
it's a safe bet. For me, I'm showing chips all in. I'm going all in.
Hey, that's why we call this podcast At Face Value. Is nothing more, nothing less. We just stayed on the line, so. Yeah. Yeah, man. So, but that's the NFL. So, at this time, I'd like to welcome back Lucas Gaspard to the podcast. So.
Oh yeah. It's fourth quarter, 35 seconds left in the game.
If you're watching this on YouTube, you've been watching Lucas jump and silent scream and be very
What's the
animated.
score, Lucas?
It's 20-20 with 30 seconds left, and USC has the ball at around midfield. That's a false start.
False start, yeah.
Dude, they're not calling false start. Is that not a push off?
interference,
That
too.
is a push off, man. Like, how does he get that much separation without pushing off? Come on, man. It's insanity, dude.
So we're just gonna start wrapping this up before Lucas loses his mind in the last 20 seconds.
We got to make our picks.
You got your 5 games.
Yeah, let's start with it, man. Let's go ahead.
All right.
So the first one we'll go with is South Carolina versus Kentucky.
South Carolina and Kentucky.
Oof, that's
Man,
tough.
I don't know, dude.
Tough,
Like,
tough.
I think I got to go with Kentucky just because I thought South Carolina actually looked pretty bad yesterday.
First game of the season.
Yeah, first game of the season, but I thought
It's
that
a
they
false start
looked
again.
rough. So I'm gonna go with Kentucky on that one.
Yeah, I got Kentucky as well.
Yeah,
Go Big Blue.
Big Blue.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna have to say Kentucky too.
Yeah.
it is at Kentucky as well for those wondering. So that I think that plays a big part in it as well. I think Kentucky's a 9.5-point favorite. So
should be able to roll there
for sure. But again, you never know. Next game, Tennessee versus NC State. So a ranked matchup there. Again, Tennessee come off that big win. NC State, man, they snuck it by last week.
I would
So
say they struggled last week, actually.
yeah, they
so,
did.
against West Carolina.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Who you got?
Where are they playing
It's
at?
at NC State.
At NC
Tennessee's
State.
a 7.5 point favorite, touchdown favorite.
Man, that's going to be tough. I think on the road, NC State always usually seems to play pretty well at home. But I think I got to go Tennessee. I know they're playing Chattanooga, but they pretty much scored at will in their game. Like, I don't see any reason why they can't go to NC State and win that one.
Yeah, I got Tennessee too. That Amaliva, good dude, is a real deal. He's a 5-star.
I'm a believer.
Whatever his name is. Yeah.
Yeah, Tennessee, Nico Lamaleva is the real deal. With a Josh Heupel, hurry up, let's throw it around the football field. I think there's more athletes on the Tennessee sideline than there are in North Carolina State. Being
That's game.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
LSU just lost.
Yeah.
LSU just lost.
Lucas is in tears right now. So.
That's brutal. And that's what, honestly, literally, that's what LSU gets for not kicking the field goal on the first drive of the game. They literally did that exact same thing against Florida State twice and lost because of it. It's so stupid. I guess Brian Kelly doesn't like points. Let's next game, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, at Oklahoma State. So it's in Stillwater. Oklahoma State's an 8-point favorite.
I'm going to go.
Come on, Brian.
Oh, man. I'm going to go Arkansas.
Yeah?
Partly because I know everybody else is going to go Oklahoma State, and partly because Arkansas started a little slow last week. I know they're playing a bad team, but I thought they picked it up, and I thought they did really well. Oklahoma State, last week, or yesterday, I know they're playing South Dakota State, who won the national championship in FCS last year. But, they started pretty slow. It took them a while to really get going. I think that they're going to rely on Ollie Gordon a lot this year. And that probably might end up being the difference, and that's probably what could give them the win. But I think Arkansas could go in there and take the wins. I'm going to go with Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm going to go Oklahoma State at home. Ollie Gordon, he's going to carry the ball 30 times, and I think Oklahoma State wins.
Yeah.
I believe what everything Lucas just said was 100%. I think Ollie Gordon is the best running back in college football, in my opinion. Going off of previous year, I think Arkansas right now, in the state of Arkansas, is trying to find an identity. That's my opinion. I think Arkansas has got to get back to finding an identity. So I think they're struggle. Definitely Oklahoma State at home is not a good way to start trying to find it.
Yeah, I think being at home is a big part too.
Yeah, for sure.
Next game, fourth game, is Georgia Tech at Syracuse.
This is a big one for you, dude.
I know, it's my dark horse,
Syracuse
Syracuse.
is your dark horse, but, man, I think Georgia Tech's going to win. Syracuse did not impress me at all last week. Honestly, I don't know what Syracuse has, really. I know they have Kyle McCord at quarterback, but, I don't know what he has to throw to. And maybe it's just because, obviously, I'm not an ACC guy, so I don't know, all what it was going into everything. But, man, Georgia Tech has impressed me the first 2 weeks, and so I think Georgia Tech takes this one.
Yeah, it's a 3-point game. Georgia Tech's 3-point favorites on the road. I'm going Syracuse. It's at home. Kyle McCord, seasoned vet. Give me the orange.
The orange.
Definitely, I'm going to be opposite. I'm not the believing the Syracuse hype train just yet. I know that Elijah Robinson, A&M, the D-line coach, who's now in the DC up there, assistant head coach.
Yep.
I think that they have the chance to build a little bit of a recruiting machine like they can, but I just don't think that Syracuse has. Watching Georgia Tech in Dublin playing Florida State like that, Haynes King is special, and I don't. It's hard for me to pick against Georgia Tech right now.
Yeah, for sure. And then we all know what the fifth game's going to be.
Yep.
So you got Texas at Michigan. The spread's at 8 right now?
It's at 6.5.
6.5.
So it's just under a touchdown.
It'll keep stretching. Michigan struggled mightily against who'd they even play? It wasn't Idaho. Oregon played Idaho, but
no, they played Fresno State.
Fresno State at home. It's a close game through the first half. Then finally they pulled away 30-10. I think Texas. I don't know if Texas will roll just because it is in Big Blue, and Big Blue's a tough place to play, but I think Texas definitely covers the spread.
I mean, they were going to kick a chip shot field goal anyway. But yeah, I think Texas rolls too. Michigan lost so many pieces on defense and on the offensive side of the ball that I think, I think Texas rolls. They have their quarterback. He's been battle tested. He's been to Bama. He's been to a lot of big time games. I got Texas.
All right, Brian, this sucks because now you have me recorded for me to listen for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to be the first time. You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it. I'm not going to pick the boys in blue. I can't because I don't think it'd be a smart decision. I do think that Texas is legit. I think Steve Sarkisian, as much as I don't like Texas just because I'm an Aggie, I'm a realist and I look at what's happening in Austin. Steve Sarkisian is building a mini Bama. I mean, his life was reinvented by just getting to watch under Saban. I think he's running. I think he's recruiting. I think he's a hellacious offensive coordinator. And I just think they got too much firepower on offense. And that offensive line returning as many as they are and then starting, I think that's going to be the kicker. I think experience is going to be the separation. And I got Texas for sure.
For sure.
I don't know about mini Bama, but yeah.
They're building it. Steve Sarkisian, like just the recruiting prowess. I mean, you think about it, the trajectory of Bama and Alabama, with the roles of how Saban's played so much part of Sarkisian's life. I mean, look at Nick Saban's first year at Bama. Definitely underachieved, and then all of a sudden just built this machine. Well, Texas is kind of doing it, and now with all this hype coming into the SEC, Steve Sarkisian's hitting a little home run right now. I think he's building a Bama-esque type.
I don't know. I think that's a stretch, but if you said Georgia, then I'd say yeah. I don't know. Obviously, Texas is good. Their quarterback play is the reason they're where they're at for sure. And then obviously Arch Manning, everybody was super pumped about his 5-yard pass, and then handing the ball off 30 times.
I was just about to say. Yeah.
He had a 5-yard touchdown, and he handed the ball off 30 times, and everybody's like, Arch is the truth.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, he literally handed the ball 30 times. But let's hold your horses a little bit. I mean, he's probably going to be a good quarterback, but the hype is real for sure. No, I think Texas, they have a good future coming up, but I don't know. Obviously, recruiting is going to be a big part of it, and that's what made Saban as good as he is. He was a crazy good recruiter, and he was able to keep the kids on campus, which it's hard to do nowadays, especially in the portal era and the allure of going into the NFL. Obviously, he had a lot of players stay back from and going into their senior season at Bama, and so yeah, it's one of those things. So.
Yep. So, it should be it is only Sark's 4th season, so it's hard to say exactly what he's going to build, but he's definitely got him in the right direction. I think we can all agree that at least. So,
yeah.
Yeah, man, it's going to be fun. So that'll be the NCAA. Lucas will get that posted out this week for everybody else to do their picks. I believe all the games are on Saturday this week, so it won't be as quick of a rush for everybody to get their games in. But we will send that out. Just play along, have some fun, and worst case, you win a little money and a T-shirt. It's we're in the process of getting those designed, and I was gonna say Oklahoma State will have a QR code to buy a shirt, but
we might too.
But now the NCAA shut down Oklahoma State's QR codes.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude, they said nope, can't do it. So,
that sucks.
Sad day. So, what could have been, but all right. Well, as we like to wrap up our episodes, Cameron, every week we do a game, and we give people 1 minute to describe a game with no prior knowledge. So, are you ready for your game of the week?
I can't wait to listen about broom bocce ball.
All right, your game of the week is kabaddi.
Kabaddi.
Yeah, it is the national sport of Bangladesh. Now, don't Google it being on speakerphone.
I'm not going to Google it.
You have 1 minute. Are you ready?
Can you spell it for me?
Kabaddi.
Kabaddi.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, 1 minute.
And start the timer. Let's go.
All right, ready, go.
Okay, Bangladesh. It's like Indonesia area, right? I'm guessing.
South Asia, yeah.
There we go. Kabaddi. Dude, it sounds like karate, but bad. I don't know. Kabaddi. Is it kind of like water polo, maybe? I don't know. Maybe volleyball with your feet. I'm going to go with that one. That one sounds good.
Volleyball with your feet, that would be soccer, wouldn't it?
No. No, because soccer can be, the ball can be on the ground.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Maybe football and horses. Let's go with that one.
Football and horses. All
Yeah.
right. So you ready?
Please tell me what kabaddi is. I'm going to learn
So
something.
kabaddi, it's the national sport of Bangladesh, and it's been popular throughout South Asia since the 20th century. It's a contact team sport played by men and women. They attempt to have their offensive player, called the raider, infiltrate the opponent's defensive side and tag out as many opponents as possible for returning safely to their side.
Dude, isn't that what we used to play back home? Like,
Hey, the United
Playground?
States plays. It says there's over 40 nations belong to the governing body and field teams, including the United States.
sounds like to me it's like ultimate tag.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is. You go and tag people out, and then you run back to your spot. So
Dude, all right.
there you go.
Contact,
So
right?
next time you travel to Bangladesh, go find you a nice game of kabaddi on the streets, and you roll with it. But, all right. I think we did it, man.
That's it, baby.
Thank you to Cameron. Thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate it. Thank you for your help with the NFL, or else I would have been monologuing for 30 minutes by myself.
Yeah.
Of course, dude. I listen to you guys all the time. Every morning when you send them out
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
I listen the next morning on the way to work.
We appreciate that,
Yeah,
man.
man.
And so,
We'll have to have you on again soon, man.
yeah, for sure. And so,
I learned a lot from soccer because of Lucas.
Dude,
oh yeah,
we didn't even cover it today. It was a pretty crazy weekend, but I mean, we go next weekend's international break, so we might cover and maybe just touch on it.
maybe we can do a bonus episode this week. We find some time. So
Yeah, maybe.
we can talk a little Premier League. So,
Yeah.
but all right, everybody. Well, we appreciate it. Again, go out and follow all our social media. We have our Facebook page at Face Value. It's on Facebook. We have our X at Face Value 2024. You can email us at facevalue2024@gmail.com. We have an Instagram. We have a TikTok. We're working on getting all that going. We haven't started cutting clips yet, but eventually, once we start getting more into our video stuff and we start doing different things, we'll start putting different stuff like that. And so we'll just keep on rolling. But we appreciate all the support. Continue to play our games. We'll send stuff out. We want your responses. We want your feedback. We want you to be a part of the show. So just like Cameron this week, if you want to be a guest on the show, just holler at us. We'll get you on. We'll have a good conversation. LSU won't be playing every Sunday night, so Lucas won't be so distracted. But other than that, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we look forward to continuing this on. And until next week, it's been fun.
See ya.